Yup.
Mate, I'm so sorry. I'm sitting there, I'm looking, I'm like, every time we always get going a little bit too early, we jump the gun, and there's always that little cold open bit that's become a tradition 5 episodes in, and this time I'm waiting for it, and I got the time right. Didn't fuck up, everyone. So goodbye tradition, hello professionalism. There you go. Welcome to the Poproast podcast, by the way. I'm Dean, he's not, and we're going to talk about some shit this week. Anything going on with you this week that you want to get off your chest? You're feeling better after last time because that was good.
Yeah, a little better, man. No medicinal mead. I had the
medicinal.
No medicinal fluids today, but yeah, I had the fun of editing last week, and I just noticed my left eye getting lazier and lazier as the show progressed. But it's all good. Not tonight.
You got to see it frame by frame.
Yeah,
that's brutal. Anyways, watching it just slowly drop.
Yep. None of that tonight. It's
none.
Get down to business. Straight to it.
We are. We get straight to it if you like. Yeah, what's first on the docket here? Oh yeah, I'll throw this on just because. Oh, is anyone really surprised? This isn't a news story. This isn't even a story. It's just a general statement. I've always kind of felt this way, to be honest. As much as I love watching a lot of these late night talk shows and stuff, but that's more because you get you get to see the people that you're familiar with, like just chatting and it's a talk show, duh. But anyway, Jimmy Fallon's a prick, so I've always felt that way. And it seems to be confirmed. Are we on board, George, or are you in the Fallon defenders?
Yeah, I have no idea what any of this is about. Can't say I was really a fan anyway. It's just another one of them. Like Conan.
Yeah, it's just another one of your fucking.
But,
anyways, TV late night. Oh, so no, it's just another classic case of like toxic workplace environment, mood swings, lashing out at people underneath him on set, just generally just because your name's on the show. And it seems to be a recurring trend. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just wanted to open up the show with some wholesome Jimmy Fallon's a prick.
Fair dues.
Fucking
so
smug
this
prick.
Wasn't like. I mean, yeah, he seems like a smug.
Oh no, he hasn't murdered anyone. He didn't. So
there's no like.
He didn't grope Jennifer Lawrence at the MTV Music Awards or something. No, he's fine. Really, in the grand scheme of it, he's not Kevin Spacey as far as I know.
Fair dude.
But I wouldn't call Kevin. In my defense, no, there's no story here.
All right.
In my defense, I wouldn't call Kevin Spacey a prick. I'd use a far worse word, even though he's been acquitted. But smoke fire. Anyway, guys, we're gonna move along. Speaking of just people being edgy pricks, we got a trailer for, because I think we mentioned last week that you'd seen some of this show, right? If not all of it. The Boys, I'm talking about Gen V, by the way, everybody, before we get ahead. Okay. But you've seen The Boys, right?
I haven't seen all of it. I watched the first season and I enjoyed it. It was actually upon your recommendation.
I was going to say, yeah, I'm sure I suggest. I watched the opening scene and I was like, this is going to get people on board who wouldn't normally watch this, like, not knowing what it was. But go on, you got into it because I gave you the golden idea.
Yep, and I did. Yeah, I was digging it, and I got past the first season, and for whatever reason, just didn't carry on. I just watched other stuff.
Yeah, it's cool. No, that happens. We've all got. Season 4 is is the season that was out last year, and season 5 has been like a lot of things. Has been like delayed because you're not doing the right thing. You're not paying them and giving them the right amount of stuff, all the dues, all the bills, all the notes, all the coins, make it rain gold, but not too hard because their heads are very sensitive. They're not used to a lot of physical damage. Okay. But pay them everything anyway. Okay. Do the right thing. All of you studios. I'm not going to name you all because that would feel like endorsement somehow. But I'm going to just go back to talking about the stuff that you make. Anyway.
Money rant. Classic weekly money rant.
Always. It's got to be done. It's got to be done. Give them the money. Give them your fucking money. Like,
where's the money, Lebowski?
What I'm saying is that the actors and the writers are the mugger in an alleyway, and you're Batman's parents. Netflix and Amazon and all the other studios, they're the Batman parents, and they got to get got. All right, give me money. Anyway, I don't think there's any criminal activity. Yeah, it's fine. I didn't mean to imply any actors or writers in criminal activities. Moving on, The Boys. So they announced this a couple of years ago. This has been a little while in the making. And this is the first, or technically second, spin-off, if you want to include the animated thing that they did, which was like, I don't know if you saw that on there. There's like an animated like anthology. They're like 5-10 minute shorts, like different animation styles set in the Boys universe. One of them is like one of the little baby. It's like a baby's day out cartoon, but it's like the baby with the laser eyes from season 1. And stuff like that. Okay. But anyway, they've dropped an official Red Band trailer for this Gen V, which is set. It's, you know, the boys, the younger boys, the boysier boys, the college age student boys. How are you feeling about this?
I did watch it. Yeah, I mean, interesting. Again, like The Boys, it's an original take on, you know, the superhero, like it's the anti-Avengers kind of deal, and
copyright that name.
Yeah, you can see like the knockoff figures busted out. Anyways, yeah, I thought it was really well done. Looking at the trailer for this, there's some creepy conspiratorial vibes going on. One thing that stood out was that, you know, the girl who can make herself basically like Ant-Woman, turn into a miniature form of herself, just like on the cusp of like a bloody ear about to like jump into some boots.
Yeah, man. They in later seasons of The Boys, there's a couple of scenes, different scenes with some size changes, and they do some weird stuff with the shrinking power, like, you know, exactly the kind of stuff that people talk about, like what you would do if you could do that kind of thing. You could imagine. Yeah. So yeah, they're taking it to another level here, where it's like somebody's doing that stuff, but also like, you know, what's the aftermath of that? What, you know, how do you deal with that when you're dealing with, like, you know, going through college or puberty, and, you know, you're like still developing your idea of the world, and you're seeing it through the lens of somebody's bloody eardrum and brain matter. so yeah, no, I think this looks pretty good. I think it's a bit bold on a TV budget to give the main character blood powers, because I'm not sure if that's going to look great. The CGI blood never looks great. It doesn't matter how much money you have, it just never looks great. And so I thought that was an interesting choice, because I don't think that's a character from the comics. There are some comic book characters and plots that are being adapted in this by the looks of it. It looks like, I think on the university, it's GU. So I think it's Godolkin University, and Godolkin in the comics was he was basically like a pedo version of Professor X. He was just this weird, creepy, bald guy who ran a school for young superheroes, and it was just like a weird cult, you know?
Yeah. Everything in this book seems just to be like the dark version of everything.
Literally, I mean, it is like that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that. Some of it's done better than others, and this was done like the Boys comic was from like the early 2000s, so a lot of stuff that you have seen is probably like riding off of this, because throughout the late and 2000s up until now, obviously everyone's doing the edgy versions of superheroes. We've had like Brightburn and all this other stuff that's just like, what if this character but this, and what if this character but this, and but hopefully this doesn't kind of outstay its welcome and make people tired of the Boys before we get to the Boys. That's the main thing. I don't want this to dilute the legacy, George. I don't want it to take away from the glory that is those 4 seasons. And it's not as great as I don't love it as much as everyone else does. A lot of the common consensus seems to be that the comic books are not as good as the show, and the show's adapted it better. But I think the books are better. Right. I don't want to be that guy. I'm not that guy for everything, but it's still good. I can't wait. Absolutely can't wait. But if you do if you like body parts and blood and guts, then chances are you're really excited for Chicken Run 2 that's coming out.
Nicely done.
Because what is Chicken Run if not like Shaw, but for animals, really?
It's a good point. I mean,
or Texas Chainsaw if you want to get more like, dare I say, closer to the bone. Fucking hell, I'm on fire, George. This is happening in real time. Are you hearing this? It's anyway. So for 23 long years, people were asking, why did they never do a Chicken Run? It's a muchly beloved movie. Everyone has fond memories. This movie, if you was at school on like a rain day or, whatever, like this was probably in the case that got wheeled out in the TV with the VCR. Do you know what I mean? Like this movie, I don't know if it's like this in every country, but this movie is fucking everywhere. It's like a cultural staple. So was you one of the people, George? Did it touch you? Was you asking for Chicken Run 2?
Not really, to be honest. I love Wallace and Gromit as a child and Aardman stuff. Obviously, this a bit later. I enjoyed it. It's fun, and I've seen it countless times. Introduced it Aardman stuff to nephews as they were growing up and stuff, and I mean, I don't think it's the best, but I watched the trailer too, and I was like, I had a couple of little chuckles there, and I was like,
looks like Chicken Run 2, right?
Looks like Chicken Run 2.
Exactly what you would have thought of, like, and I think it's a great movie. I do think it's earned its place, and it is like, maybe you've seen it too many times, but I do think that speaks to like how it's getting 23 years now, it's been getting passed through generations.
So you were like 10.
It's always fun. What's that?
So you would have been like 10 when that first
came out. I was like 9 or 10 or 11 maybe when this movie came out, so I wasn't like the prime age for it, but again, getting to having like younger cousins and siblings and kids and all of this stuff, getting to review that movie through the eyes of every generation like that comes along, and I think it holds up. And my problem is that I don't think people have really been asking for Chicken Run 2 for maybe like half a decade now. I think there was a time a few years ago where I think it was definitely, it's been late for, forever. They should have, if they would have known how popular this was going to be, they would have greenlit the sequel straight away, because you know how long these things take to make.
Yeah.
But I think there was a period of like maybe like 6 or 7 years ago where there was like a resurgence, and you were seeing a lot of those like memes and, from the movie, and a lot of references kind of came back into pop culture. So I think there was a hot spot to do a belated sequel to this. I think we're well past that now, which is obvious by the fact that it's, it's just Netflix. It's not getting a theatrical release, which is kind of disappointing. I would have liked to have seen this get a big screen showing. So I think it deserves it. You know, whether or not it is just a very average sequel. I think Chicken Run has, earned its right to have a theatrical sequel. But there you go.
I'd agree. Even like I say, like it's one of the lesser Aardman works. It's still like the amount of work that goes into those. Like, have you ever seen any of the making of any of those?
Yeah, it takes him like 3 years to turn somebody's head. Yeah, fucking great stuff. Like, who puts them? I love the stuff, but who puts themselves through that? That's just insanity.
Beyond meticulous, isn't it? But
yeah,
I did like
of insanity.
You're segueing.
Go on.
No, I was
I was staying on the topic. I'm staying on the topic. I was going to say the same kind of insanity as as Mel Gibson, who's not in this movie, who was in the first movie. I've always wondered if they ever did this movie, would they get Mel Gibson back?
He's
still working. He still works.
He was the male chicken.
He was the rooster. Yeah, he was Rooster. He was Rocco. I think it was Rocco.
That's it. I can't remember the name.
You know, the all-American carnival rooster or whatever he was, the cannonball rooster. But I always wondered if they were going to bring him back. You know, given that Mel Gibson is a much bigger prick than Jimmy Fallon, and I just. Yeah, they've replaced him with Zachary Levi, who's less of a prick than Mel Gibson, but also a far worse actor. And let's be honest, a 10-year-old's really worried about. They didn't hear the Mel Gibson phone messages. You know, they don't know. They don't know who Mel Gibson is. They don't care.
I'd probably rather my children know who Mel Gibson is. So. But they're going to find. I don't know. Saying that Passion of the Christ is like a pretty fucking mental film.
Like Chicken Run, like it or not, Mel Gibson is a cultural staple.
Definitely. But
I'm only playing devil's advocate. I don't give a fuck if he gets a job. I don't. You know, he is a prick. Yeah. But you know, it's just interesting. Chicken Run. The people who get to work. And the people who don't get to work and the crimes that they have or have not committed don't always line up the way that they should. Anyway,
no, you're right.
Kevin Spacey coming in Chicken Run 3 to a cinema near you.
I'm looking forward to it. Chicken, appropriate. That's like
absolutely.
You said, just in time for Christmas, December 15th.
Yeah, we're getting that.
Gun-toting moles and laser-guided exploding ducks. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, and, you know, whilst we might get Chicken Run in Christmas, we also, or those across the pond, will be getting a different vibe of a movie for a different holiday, and that be the namesake Thanksgiving. Flipping it up on the order there, George, because it was too easy to go to it. And I got to tell you, I quite like this trailer. I thought this looked pretty good. It was only a minute long, but this looked like, and I don't want to foreshadow anything that I say for later, but this looked like a good old-fashioned horror film that I've been missing the last few that I've seen. Yeah, man.
There's taken from that Grindhouse trailer. That old trailer
absolutely
back in 2007. I have to ask you, did you ever see that Grindhouse thing in it, how it was supposed to be viewed or whatever as the double feature?
Well, yeah, so here's the thing. So I had both the movies on like the double disc DVDs, as it were, back in the days, kids, right? That means it had special features. You don't know what those are because those died out 15 years ago in the apocalypse. Anyway, what was I saying? So the Planet Terror would have like the Machete trailer on there, and then the Death Proof DVD had it didn't have a Thanksgiving tray. It didn't have. I don't remember what it had, but it didn't have that. And I later found out that there was like a few different ones, right?
Yeah,
there's like 3 or 4 different Grindhouse trailers that they made for this, but only 2 appeared across both the movies on the DVD.
Right.
We didn't get the whole thing, but I did watch the movies. You know, I double billed the movies as intended, just not with all the trailers apparently. So I didn't even know this was an actual, well, a fake trailer for a thing that's now a real thing. I didn't know about any of this until you told me a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I had a similar experience, except I saw them both separately initially, and then I didn't know of the trailers, and then I heard about the trailers like maybe like a decade ago, and then looked them all up. I thought I looked them all up until literally like the other day, where I was looking at the original trailer again, and then I discovered that there was the Werewolf Women of the SS, the Rob Zombie one, and there's one called Don't by Edgar Wright, and it's got like most of the cast from Shaun of the Dead are in it. And it's fucking hilarious, by the way.
Both of those sound great.
I want them to both be movies, like honestly, like because there's that obviously Machete got made into a feature film.
Yeah.
Not only that, they had a competition at South by Southwest for the Grindhouse trailers, and some Canadian fellas, what's the name, Jason Eisner, won the competition, and his trailer was Hobo with a Shotgun, which obviously got made into a feature as well.
Absolutely. I love that movie. Well. That's a hard watch.
But it's fucking it's so mean-spirited.
If you haven't seen anyone, Hobo with a Shotgun, look that movie up, watch that movie. Do not adjust your TV settings like I did the first time watching that thing. It's supposed to look a bit like that.
Yeah, it's a Grindhouse.
Buckle yourself in. Yeah,
man,
that's a good watch.
The school bus scene. That's all I'm gonna say.
Absolutely fucking. And then it goes completely banana. It starts pretty bananas, and then it goes 100%, 150% bananas in the third act. Like, you will not see any of that shit coming. Hobo with a Shotgun
by Rutger Hauer.
Love it. Yeah, good stuff. One of the best.
Anyways, back to the Thanksgiving
trailer. Yeah, on the holidays.
So yeah, this teaser, obviously, it's very similar, but I couldn't quite tell if the tone's going to be the same. You've got some elements from the original trailer where you see down, the Thanksgiving parade and the cheerleader on the trampoline. But I'm interested.
Had a much darker tone. Is that just me? You feel like this looks much more. I don't want to say serious, but it looks like a much more dour vibe than all of the other Grindhouse movies, at least that I've seen, and the stuff that I've seen from that batch, where even though they're very dark and graphic and grimy, there's still like an element of like pop to them. You know what I mean? Whereas this one felt much more just like a down and dirty slasher movie. With no connections really to Thanksgiving. I'm missing the connection. Am I not getting it? What's going on there?
Oh, the parade. Everything's going. It happens around the holiday. I think that's just about it.
It just happens at Thanksgiving because it's I'm watching it. I'm like, where's the theme?
Pilgrim, right? And this all set around the.
But like the kills, are they supposed to be like? Are they supposed to be Thanksgiving kills? Is it just like, I'm just going to cut you like a turkey and that's where the creativity ends?
I don't know if you remember the end of the original trailer. He turns is like a human turkey thing, and he's actually like fucking it at the end. I can't see him going there with that. I don't know.
Typical woke Hollywood taking away our turkey fucking scene.
A turkey fucking a turkey with a human head attached to it, severed head.
Even better, my favourite kind of turkey fucking, to be honest with you.
Well, I don't know.
Anyway,
Don't know
unfortunately, no turkey fucking for us because we don't get that holiday. So there you go.
No, we don't. We only have turkey once a year, and some people don't even eat it then. So, but anyway, I'm definitely excited to check it out.
Absolutely, this looks great. This looks really. This looks like, excuse the pun, this looks like a really sort of meaty old school horror slasher movie. So I'm well down for this. As opposed to some other movies that maybe just look like just watered down horror movies disguised as Agatha Christie movies. Like, what are we doing here? Yeah, that was just segue. A Haunting in Venice. Okay, so I think this trailer has been out for a little while. I do think this trailer's been out for a bit, but I only put this on the docket because I just felt like we'll throw another trailer in, and this trailer was on when I went to see the movie that we're going to talk about in a bit. And I don't know a lot about Agatha Christie. I'm not the murder mystery guy, but are they? They're normally just regular people, right? There's no supernatural or like, you know, extra dimensional or extraterrestrial. There's never any of that shit, right? It's always just a regular thing. Because to my understanding, it's always a regular thing. Yeah, it's always just a regular mystery, just regular people being regular psychos. That's fine. So then, if that's the case, we kind of know, like, we know going into the movie then that all of the spooky shit just isn't weird. There's going to be some other like explanation for it. It's going to be like a Scooby-Doo, you know, aha, it was me and I was doing the lights and making a smoke machine and or whatever. Do you know?
I don't know. So is that what we if it wasn't for you pesky gondoliers?
You peskiest of gondoliers, just. So yeah, like that's like half the mystery just sucked out of this. Or is that just me? Am I being too harsh?
Agatha Christie as well. Or is
this is because Kenneth Branagh's done 2 of these so far. This is the 3rd of his Poirot adaptions.
Poirot, yeah.
He did Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile, and now he's finishing up with a spooky one. And again, I don't know if Agatha Christie did a lot of spooky ones, but it's my understanding that they were never really spooky. They were just real world, you know, murder mysteries.
Yeah.
In which case, there's no mystery here because it's just all fake. So one of them faked it all, I guess. So I'm not scared. There's no tension. I know the ghosts and all the creepy shit happening isn't really going to hurt anyone or do anything. I'm just going to wait for that reveal at the end. And that's going to cost me £11 Cineworld. So what are we doing here?
If you're into the crime drama stuff, then, you know, I could see it.
But then does this turn those people away because of the supernatural trailer? And that
is a bit of a misleading title. I agree. But yeah, just looking at the synopsis. In post-World War II Venice, Poirot, now retired and living on his own exile, reluctantly attends a seance. But when one of his guests is murdered, it's up to the former detective to once again uncover the killer. So, I don't know, there's some spookiness happening around it. Maybe the killer is trying to make people believe that it's some supernatural angle. I don't know. I'd check it out.
Maybe if I get sick, I'll watch like all 3 of them maybe one day when I'm like 68. You know what I mean? Like, I could see myself down the line doing a binge of all of these, but yeah, because like until I've got like no capacity left to remember like how storytelling works and what Agatha Christie is, and then maybe I'll be able to enjoy it a bit more.
I don't know. I kind of enjoy like the Italian subgenre, like the giallo films.
Yeah.
essentially murder mystery, but they're a lot more. I don't know. There's something. But they did it different over there.
Yeah.
You know?
But this isn't going to go to that level, is it? You know what I mean?
No, definitely not. This is a glossy, highbrow crime
probably
drama.
12A.
Yeah, it is.
I think I probably have the rating here actually.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it, and I do. It's 12. It's 12A.
Yeah, it's a 12A. It doesn't have a stack. The other two kind of had more like stacked like casts. This one is kind of a bit like there's not really any names on this cast that are going to make you go, oh fuck, they're in this. Now I've got to check it out.
Branagh?
The other two, well, yeah, but he's in all of them because he's Poirot, yeah. But there's no, you got like Jamie Dornan.
I always heard it.
He is, yeah. Poirot. Oh well, no, tell a lie. We got Michelle Yeoh, and we see Michelle Yeoh. She's going all out in this trailer, doing a whole seance lady spinning in the chair bit. But again, if we know that's all going to be fake, then I don't have any investment in that, you know?
Yeah,
so
fair enough.
But, whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Anyway, Venice
is a nice place to go on holiday, I'm sure.
I've actually been there.
It
would be a fucking cool city for like a siege, film or something like that, or like maybe even, dare I say it, zombies in Venice.
Zombies in Venice.
You're kind of isolated, stuck on like those islands there without a boat. You'd be pretty fucked.
Yeah, Zombola. That's what you call it.
Oh,
Zombola. Zombies on gondolas. Zombola. Top quality wordplay we're giving you here. Really.
Yeah. Anyway, we spent like half hour just on the trailers, so
we did spend half hour on the trailers.
If nothing else, we are thorough.
We are thorough. It's fun. It's fun. Believe it or not, I had a whole bit of chicken nuggets that I was going to do for Chicken Run, but we got tangled up with Mel Gibson.
I was trying to say we're not
going to get there now.
I did like the Dawn of the Nugget, of course.
Dawn of the Nugget, absolutely. Yeah. But it also leads me to believe that if the first movie took place like post World War II, the chicken nugget, I looked this up, wasn't invented until the mid to late 50s. How long do these chickens live? That's all I was going to say.
Got them there,
moving on. I got there. Thank you very much, Georgia, because I could not have slept tonight if I hadn't have gotten that little bit out. Also, they're breaking out now. They've got a break in. Genius writing, but not as good as the writing for our feature for this week. I was excited about this one. I was really excited. I thought this could be sneakily good. Thought this could be like a surprise banger like Malignant was. And that movie is Cobweb. I'm not going to tell you what I thought yet. I'm not going to give you it up top. We're going to work into it, George. You wasn't really sold on this trailer, it seems like. I think it was last week or the week before.
Completely dismissive. Not completely dismissive, but the trailer didn't sell me, but I was interested because of the director, Samuel Bowden. And yeah, I don't know, it just looked like kind of copy paste modern horror, jump scares and whatnot. But yeah, let's get into it.
And again, he's passing the baton right back to me. He's not going to tell me if he thinks it was a copy and paste horror.
I'm not. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got couple of cool actors in this movie. I don't know what I'm saying there. But we got Lizzie Kaplan and Anthony Starr as the parents in this movie to, what's the kid's name? Woody Norman as Peter.
Yeah.
And we got a supporting turn by Cleopatra Coleman as Miss Divine, probably the worst name for a teacher ever.
Not great, I immediately
we'll come back
thought
to
of,
that.
I thought of Pink Flamingos. Every time I hear Divine, I think of that, and it doesn't conjure up the most pleasant of images.
As soon as they said it, I'm thinking like, is that like a drag queen name or something? Is that like a porn star name? And I'm trying to, I was trying to find the pun in my head. I was like, Miss Divine. I was like, it's like, if you was like a stripper or something, you'd be called like Misdemeanor or whatever. I'm like, in my head, I'm going through all these words, like trying to find it. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll go through.
By the way, there is no pun, but there is a plot to this movie.
There is.
Did the movie have the plot that you thought you were going to get going into this?
Not exactly. Actually, yeah, it did surprise me definitely at points. But yeah, like I say, getting into it, like, from the intro credits, I was just like, here we are, like it's like a montage of this middle class white folk. They got the kid on the piano. I'm like, all right. And then I think it like pretty much picks up straight away with the like knocking on the wall, and I'm like, here we go, straight away. We're not wasting any time here.
It doesn't.
No, it literally does. Like, literally, there's like an intro montage, and then straight in.
Well, yeah, no. What I'm saying is that we get straight into the knock-in, but in terms of actually like getting into like the plot,
finding out,
it gives you the knock-in straight away, and then it does kind of like drag it out. And there's a lot of stuff in this where I'm thinking like this kid should be getting this information quicker, and while we're not getting it, is there like is that like an intentional thing, or is it just like bad writing?
I don't know. I feel like
obviously
they didn't want to give you it all up front, so it's a bit of a slow build.
But he would have been getting it. Yeah, he's getting it a lot quicker than what we are, and it's not addressed that he is, and we don't find out either way. But he must be, due to context of the story, which we'll get into a little bit later. But unlike you, I thought the opening was really cool. I like the piano music. It did feel it felt throwbacky for sure, But I thought like the mood, something about the cinematography in this movie. There's some real it's quite slow and restrained early on, but there are some real good flashes of like some visual flair later on. But I thought the slow build was nice, montage, piano, and then into the bedroom with the knock-in. That's not how that's supposed to sound.
No. Definitely not. When there's kids concerned.
No, he's getting knocked.
Anyway,
they're knocking back and forwards. It's fine. Consensually knocking.
Of course. Well, like, I don't know. Yeah, again, the score, I thought it was decent. But like I say, from the intro, I was like, yeah, all right. And then you see, as we go through, like, find that Peter's like bullied at school, and
we'll talk about him in
on
a
the
bit
school
as well.
bus. Yeah, and then obviously you get to school, and then was it like the principal? It was like, I don't know, fucking got him down as B-Tech Adam Scott. I didn't make a note of the actor's name, but he's just introduced as Mr. Divine.
I thought it was going to be, as soon as I saw the hair and the shirt, I was like, is that Adam Scott? And then as soon as he like looked to the camera, it wasn't. I was like, of course they didn't get Adam Scott for this. No way did they get Adam Scott. But yeah, literally on the casting call, I guarantee you it said an Adam Scott type.
Yeah. So yeah, he introduces Mr. Divine.
Yeah. So
ladies and gentlemen, a little bit, we coming to the stage.
Miss Divine. Yeah, it's like such a game show host kind of name to say. So we start off with the kid, and how do you think? Because it's dicey business characters when you're getting in with a kid in a movie. You know,
Yeah.
are they going to be good? Are they going to derail the whole thing? I thought he was pretty good. I'd go as far as to say that the kid is the best performance in this movie by quite a bit.
Well, he does kind of carry.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, I think he does well. Like the film is kind of, for the most part, sort of done through the kid's perspective, right? So it's like, and like you say, yeah, it is dicey having, like, you know, putting that much faith in your child actor, I guess.
He's in like every frame pretty much, right? Like,
yeah,
not a lot of time in this movie without him at all, which does have a bit of a detriment to the story that I'll get to later as well. But the kid's good.
Yeah.
No, the parents.
Yeah, immediately you're just like, there's something fucked up here. Like,
there's no mystery there, is there, at all? They don't try and build it up like, oh, maybe the kid's just being scared like a lot of movies would do. It's just straight away, these two are aloof as fuck.
Yeah.
What is going on? Absolutely.
That's what I mean, like, early on, there's like, you know, it shows them at school, and there's like a dinner sequence, and the dad starts trying to tell like the spooky story about, you know, the kid, the boarded up house at the end of the road or whatever, end of the street, and the mum interrupts and is like, oh, I don't want to know, I don't want to hear about the story. So it's just like left there, and you're like, okay, obviously it's building something. And then that's when you get the voice, you know, they're knocking on the wall again, and then it's the girl's voice. And I don't know if it's there that she tells him the information. I think it's just, you know, established that there's a girl on the wall.
Yeah.
And then it goes, there's this scene I had to make note of because it comes back in a big way. When, you know, obviously he tells the parents something in the wall. They don't believe him. They're like, oh, maybe it's rats. So we'll get the rat poison out. Right? And he's like, smells like cinnamon rat poison. Well, you know. And then the dad says a very foreshadowing line, not everything's as sweet as it seems.
Yeah, there's a few lines in like that
it's just so, like, when you look back at the end, you're like, yeah, that was really fucking bait. You know, like, that was so obvious.
I mean, it was such a lame line, though. It's such a cliche of a line. There's there's many parts, no subtext or metaphor. There's just like, not everything is as it seems. No shit. Why do you think I came to see the fucking movie? Because that's what, you know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here? Like,
speaking of
the mum is a lot weirder than him, though. First of all, right?
Definitely.
You think she starts out like, she's really weird. The dad's just a little bit weird. So maybe the dad is just like, maybe she's controlling the situation. Like, she's holding the secrets. He's involved, but she's got like some power over him, and she's like forcing him to keep the lie or keep this mystery or whatever it is going on. But that doesn't seem to necessarily be the case as you move on through it, and they kind of both even out in terms of like antagonistical behavior, you know, antagonistical behavior. I'm sticking to it. Right,
that works. But yeah, definitely, like, the mum, like, I think that's like the next scene after the rat poison or whatever, is when he's painting at school, and he does a little painting and it says "Help me." It's just him in his bed, and I that's a fucking thing that I've always, as a kid, you know, I like to draw and paint. Nothing fucking grinded my gears more than when the fucking paper would just buckle like that, because, you know, they don't give kids watercolor paper or he's just blacked out the whole fucking page and it's buckled as fuck, and I was just like, oh man, don't you just hate that?
Mate, you think this kid's not having a hard enough time and you want to take away his quality I'm fucking drawing paper?
No, it's good painting, you know what I mean? No, give him some good shit, you know what I mean? Fucking Bristol board, fucking bit of watercolor paper.
Look, this
Anyway,
kid is
pretty
like,
disturbing
he's
painting.
got a lot of hardships. They're not buying the fucking good paper, okay? That's the
Really not.
least of his worries.
Oh, it is because yeah. Anyway, obviously, Miss Divine.
So is it just me? This is a really flat performance, or just
From
something?
her.
It's such a cliche part in one of these movies, you know, the concerned social worker or teacher who's worried that something's going on with the kid, and you know will probably turn out to be proven in their concern. So there's not really a lot here for her to work with. They kind of just inject her. It's almost like, because they know they have to inject her like 2 or 3 times in the movie to have somebody there at the end.
Yeah, I mean, she serves a purpose, but I see what you mean. Maybe a little bit flat, but she does well enough in portraying, you know, like I say, that first scene where she goes to the house and the mum's just like immediately just
Yeah,
like
no, she plays a
fucking
lot of like
there's
that
something off
well.
about this. This bitch is crazy.
Yeah. No, I do
But
think it's probably more the writing, because now that you're saying it, it's definitely like the expressions and the concern and all of that stuff was definitely there, but it was just anytime she said something, it was just like, mate. So I think probably just more a case of like the writing just was really underserving that character, and
yeah,
she's just a plot device.
yeah, she was literally
Absolutely. And it's a shame because I like her. She's a fucking beautiful woman. I mean, Miss
oh, for sure.
Divine, indeed. They probably changed her name on the script when the actress walked into audition.
I mean,
They're
they
like, you know
named her
what?
after an Egyptian, you know, goddess. So you know what are you gonna do?
And what, you know,
Pharaoh.
they know a thing or two about divinity. You know what I'm saying? So, so that's all
Anyways,
well and good. So,
yeah, I made that note anyway. Mr. Vine visits
yeah,
that Mum acts bait as fuck. Fucking like, I'd be
she's
straight up
not,
calling in child
yeah.
protection services. Just like,
Oh, the
what is
way
up,
that
man?
Mr. Vine talks to the mum is like, it's like Patrick Bateman, like on meth. It's like she's just eyes darting around. She's the worst liar in the fucking world. At least like
Yeah.
the dad does like a good job. Anthony Starr does a good job of
Oh yeah,
like,
when she comes
he
back the
tries to
second time.
layer it up a little bit, but she's just
Yeah.
straight away. What was you saying?
No, I was saying, yeah, obviously she comes back the second time, but the first time she knocks, obviously, you know, nothing really happens. But the mum does confront Peter, and it's just like, why are you, you know, what's this? What's this fucking painting and shit? Acts like a psycho
Yeah,
bitch.
snitches get stitches. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's when I think you find out. You get the knock in again, and then you know the girl's voice. I'm not sure if
Yeah,
she
so
still
it's,
doesn't tell him yet by then, you know, who she is.
this is what I'm saying, and I think we can kind of touch on this without spoilers, but they've had like 2 or 3
Okay.
interactions by this point in the movie. It's probably, the movie takes place over like a week, right? And every night he goes to bed and there's knocking on the wall, there's some, you know, there's some interaction. Is it all in his head? He's got a vivid imagination, as the mum keeps saying. But then you think, after like knowing what you know at the end of the movie, if this is this thing that wants to communicate with him, why wouldn't you knock the first time and then just tell them everything that
Straight
you
up.
need
Yeah.
for you to complete whatever your goal is? If you're, whether you're a spirit or you're buried under the floorboards, whatever it is you are, straight away just knock, knock, knock. Hi, I'm an evil demon. They imprisoned me. You need to say the spell and let me out. And that would be the first night and the only night. Do you know what I mean? And that would be it. And that's not what the
Well, I
plot.
think
That's
she
not what
addresses
happens,
that.
obviously.
No, I think it's sort of addressed in the monologue near the end. Might be wrong there, but anyway, going from there, he gets
It's
knocked
not
in. The
enough.
girl,
Not
it's
enough.
the girl voice that you know says, "Can we be friends?" Blah blah blah. So starts to like he's not scared anymore. He's got no friends. So, you know,
Nah,
and
because
that's
of that fucking bully.
demonstrated. Yeah, this fucking kid. I'm going to put in all the pumpkin shots, by the way, that I can.
Oh, man, you want to talk about putting in shots?
Hector.
Is that the kid?
Hector the pumpkin. No, it's the...
Oh, Hector, the pumpkin,
he paints the pumpkin. It's a pro job. Peter's got skills with his paintbrush.
Even though he had the shitty paper.
Mr. Fine kind of, you know, he blows up his spot by trying to whisper, even though the room's completely silent. This one's my favorite. Like
that was lame.
You know,
but I get what they were trying to convey. They're just trying to show that she's bullied. Yeah. No, he's getting bullied, and that's going to make it a million times worse.
Ultimate teacher's pet.
She should have known better than that. But I get what they were trying to convey is like, you know, she wasn't just doing her due diligence by showing up. You know, she wasn't just going through emotion because she felt obligated. It's like, no, she genuinely sees that this kid has a sadness to him, and she's trying to just build him up a little bit, right?
Yeah, of course.
And I felt that, anyway, and again, it's just the writing wasn't quite doing the service that actress and that character needed.
But yeah, that's, again, you know, she kind of makes him a target, but obviously he's already, like, you know, a target by these kids. They're all horrible little shits, especially
one specific kid,
Brian, the little fucker.
Can we talk about Brian?
Let's talk about Brian.
Because Brian,
oh, sorry,
he is one of the worst.
He is.
He's a horrible little
We all
prick.
knew a kid like this.
He's not a Mel Gibson. He's not a Kevin Spacey. But this kid, can we all just say it now? This looked like baby Gary Busey. What was going on with this kid? Looked like little Gary Busey. The whole movie, I cannot get it out of my head. And I'm just like, that's fucking Gary Busey. Or maybe Jake Busey, who's Gary Busey's son.
Reminded me of the kid at school.
Maybe he has a son.
I had a Brian at school.
We've all got Brians. No. But has anyone got a Gary Busey Jr.?
Is that actually his son?
Baby.
Now, do you know what?
No. Well, no, Jake Busey is Gary Busey's son. That's real. That's undeniably real, because that is just too much. But what I want to think, what I'd like to think, is this the third generation of the Busey dynasty, the Bunesty?
Like, I got to find out now, haven't I? But
this kid, I'm sure Brian, at some point during this conversation, one of us, him, will be throwing up a picture of this fucker on the screen at some point. But baby Busey, right?
Luke fucking Busey.
Is it?
He's him? A Busey. Yes, he is.
I swear to God, I did not look this up. Because I didn't bother looking it up because I was like, there's no way. There's no way. I just didn't think there was any way. I was like, it's just too funny a resemblance to actually be like a real relation. This blows my mind. You heard it here first on the Poproast podcast. The Bunesty. 3 generations of Busey.
I'm trying to see who exactly like he is in relation. I'm guessing he's Jake Busey's son. Gary's.
I'm assuming so. Or a nephew. But if he's a nephew, that means that Jake Busey has a brother who looks just like him but didn't make it. And that's funny too. There's levels to this.
Oh my God.
This is amazing.
We're going off. But yeah.
We are cracking the case here. Right.
All right.
Anyway, we have gone well off.
We really have. But anyway.
Yeah, so the kid's bullying him, and then the voice is just like, the starts to like want to have influence.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, are we going to like spoil it from it?
Brian fucks up Hector, the pumpkin.
Oh yeah, we're talking about Hector, right? Yeah, of course we are. I forgot about Hector. Yeah,
Brian smashes up Hector.
Smashes his pumpkin. Classic bully move, and he really lays it into that pumpkin. It's like that scene in Layer Cake. Yeah, it's like that scene in Layer Cake in the cafe. You know the bit I mean as well. And they do the camera looking up and the foot's coming down and poor Hector.
Poor Hector,
that unsung hero. But it's a pretty cliche bully move. I thought the kid was really good. All jokes aside, I thought he was, especially in the first half of the movie, the 2 or 3 times that we kind of get like a little bit of him, he was really selling me on just like, this kid is just like bitter and jaded, and we don't know why, and we're not going to find out why because it's not his movie. But I felt that there was something behind, you know, what was going on in the face. So I thought he was good. But they do kind of underwrite the bully storyline later on in the movie, and it's just there to fulfill a very specific purpose.
But
and it doesn't really pay off in any kind of meaningful way.
Not really. I mean, well, you know, we'll get to it, but obviously his family comes into it, sort of. But anyway, yeah, moving from that, obviously he fucks up the pumpkin, but somehow his parents, you know, the voice tells in the wall, tells him to, you know, get revenge.
The pumpkin,
or whatever.
just fuck the pumpkin right up, mate.
Yeah, and then obviously Brian his parents get told, make him draw another fucking Hector for him, and brings it in and apologizes in front of the whole classroom. And that fucking drawing looks like something off Ren and Stimpy. It's not. He hasn't got the skills that Peter has. Rush. It's just fucking Hector black 2. Line work. It's poorly done. His nose looks like a penis. It's fucking.
Couldn't have even put balls on his forehead, could you? Nothing. No fucking artistic integrity whatsoever if you could have put balls on his head. But Hector 2 was just a shell of his former self. There was no comparison there, really.
It's not good. But anyway,
I feel like it's getting harder and harder to talk about this without spoiling anything now.
Well, let's
even about Hector.
Now. Well, up to this point, I'm like, I'm lukewarm.
Anyway, it's average, but you're invested. I'm the
up to here. This is where I was just like,
we changed gear.
Wow, yeah.
Right,
so
throw the tag. Let's go.
After that little classroom interaction, after that very class, I believe we go out into the hallway, and the voice is in his head, and it's egging him on. He's like, "No, you have to get revenge." And then
outside of the house, by the way, this is the first time that this happens. That he hears the voice outside of the house.
Outside the wall,
we don't explain this. We never come back to this. It doesn't make any sense.
No, that's
but go on. He's hearing the voice. That's all that matters.
But yeah,
what does he do?
So here's the voice, tells him to get revenge, and then you just got that hallway, that long shot down the hallway. You see the kid go off camera, out of frame to presumably the stairwell, and then you just hear the shove, noise, and you hear the kid screaming, and then you see Peter's, reaction, staring in shock, and then it pans quickly to Brian, whose legs just completely fucking twisted. And he's just screaming, and I have to admit I laughed a bit because I didn't see that coming straight away.
No, I didn't think he was going to go so. I mean, he does turn relatively quickly for somebody who's just really timid and put upon, and it doesn't take more than 1 or 2 nudges to really get him to do not only that but some other stuff later on, which I don't even think he gets the nudge for that. I think he comes up with that on his own back. I don't think he even gets told to do that. But I think that pushing down the stairs sequence it's very short, very quick, sequence of events that happen. But I thought that was very effective. I felt not only was I shocked, I actually felt disturbed because I couldn't believe that the kid was doing that. I didn't know we were going to be going that way with our main character.
It's a very practical way to tackle that as well, because I thought about it and I was like, well, think of many scenes where you've seen people push downstairs where there's a stunt person or there's a bad dummy. Or
if you're 2 melons in a blazer, just lob it down the stairs.
There's an actual clearest doll just flying out of a 10-story window or whatever. But no, it's done off camera, but you hear the result. You hear the kid screaming in pain, and then obviously you see it briefly, but yeah, from then on, obviously he gets a bollock in when he gets home. His parents fucking chuck him in the basement.
Which comes, and bearing in mind, up until this point, they've been intense and aloof, but there's nothing that there's no setup or prep for this where it's just like we've not seen him do anything else wrong, so there's no indication of like, does this happen a lot? But it's literally just like one thing wrong, I guess you've got to go in the basement. Like, it's a thing that it sounds like it's not the first time that it's happened, but I kind of feel like that was a bit too much of a drastic jump for the parents.
Yeah,
there should have been a step in between that.
Yeah, it's like they sort of switch roles here and there, but like obviously the dad's being the stern father, and he's like, "You're going in the basement," and the mother's like all apologetic and like, "We're doing this for your own good and stuff."
Yeah,
and then
right.
I couldn't keep track of, like, I was like, how long has this fucking kid been in this basement? But like, it seems like a day goes past. Obviously, he's not at school.
Yeah, it's like a day and a night. I think each like scene of this movie is kind of like one day and a night. We do.
Yeah,
it does.
It tells you a week
just a nice week.
Halloween, right?
Which I thought was a really weird choice to just straight away at the beginning to say a week before Halloween. It was like,
oh yeah,
I didn't.
Well, I immediately
did that. That just seemed like a weird time frame to set. You know, like what's going to happen? Was there the countdown?
Yeah. Well, every time I see that, I immediately think of Halloween, the original, like John Carpenter's.
That's what I mean. Happened. It's like, is this going to tie in? It's like this. Is he going to turn out to be like a fucking, you know, Mikey Myers sibling, or is it going to be like related or connected? Because, you know, it's not out of the realm of possibility that movies could do that kind of shit now.
Right,
you know, look at what we've split. You know.
Well, we'll get to it.
Where you go into it, and it's one thing. And maybe that's not what you get.
Maybe it's not. Not everything's as sweet as it seems.
Not everything is as sweet as it seems.
Anyway, yeah, so he's in the basement, and then Miss Divine comes back to the house again. Fucking Miss Divine.
She's completely mishandling the situation.
No, sorry, yeah, I think it was after, you know, the basement scene, you get Miss Divine and Budget Adam Scott fucking chatting, because he's like, why did you go to a student's house? Did you
notice after the first time. That's after the first time she goes there. And then the fact that she does this again the second time with no grounds, she even conjures up like fake excuses to go there the second time, because she's like, he forgot his math. Who the fuck brings you your maths homework home from school?
After one day.
She's after 1 day. Like, it's probably a Wednesday. You're going to be there tomorrow. Like, this Miss Divine is almost on par with fucking Paul Rudd in Ghostbusters Afterlife, mate. She's thirsty to get around this house, and she's not going about it the right way. After that first time, she should have backed off, and that second time probably would have been grounds for dismissal, if I'm completely honest.
I would have thought so. But yeah, I mean,
obviously she's in the right, but they don't know that.
Yeah, no. But again, like this time, obviously, the dad comes to the door and is like, "Come in, we're just making some coffee, whatever." Fucking gives her a cup of coffee. I mean, he's got the hammer in hand for a start.
That's so intense. Like, it's so weird. Immediately, I would have been like, "No, I'm out."
You're coming in for coffee? Fuck that.
You're not following him in, are you? You're absolutely not following him in the house. He had it from like the second he answered the door.
Well, no, she answers the door and then he cuts in, doesn't he? I'm pretty sure the mum.
Yeah, from the second he comes to the door, though, he's got the hammer. He's got the hammer, like, and you're not going in there.
Yeah, both acting sus as fuck.
Yeah,
as the kids would say. But yeah, that's fucking. He cans her a cup of coffee. He's got blood dripping from him, and she's like, "Oh, you're bleeding." He's like, "Oh, nothing, just you know."
And these are supposed to be parents who are apparently trying to keep covered this big family secret, maybe. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we're talking about spoilers now, so it's fine. But so they're supposed to be covering up this big secret. Why are they not acting normal? Why are they making it worse? And to be honest, and I was going to save this for later on, why have they not just, and I don't want to encourage what I'm about to say, I do not condone, but in the context of the story, why have they not just taken care of this issue from day one? Why is this still a thing that they are covering up and hiding? Because it's something that they didn't want. They don't want nothing to do with this. Why keep it in the house?
I don't fucking know. You just, yeah. I mean, we're getting there, but that's, yeah.
What are they
It's
doing?
just like, you would just not, would you? You say like you take care of it.
Would, and when you eventually see what she fucking looks like, and they really stretch that out to the very last moment, and even then you don't really get more than like a couple of glimpses. No, if that's what it looks like, get rid of that shit from day one. And again, not encouraging or condoning that, but if that was a real thing that came into your house one day, get it out of your house. That's all I'm saying. I'll leave the details up to you, our devoted viewers and listeners. Get it out of the house one way or another. You do not want that around your shit.
Most definitely not. Anyway, that's where I think things change. Obviously, the conversation at the house, the mum starts to kick off, and then fucking the dad's like, I think you better leave to Mr. Vine. She goes to leave. There's that like kind of like, I suppose it was supposed to be a jump scare. It was sort of jump scary where the dad, like, she's like, oh fuck, can't find my keys, and then the dad's just there at the window like,
oh, that's a classic jump scare. Always, you forgot your keys.
Wasn't very effective.
Fucking,
I thought it was a bit weak.
Nah, there was a few of those.
Yeah, but
absolutely
that happens, and then next scene I'm pretty sure is the mum's made some fucking pumpkin cupcakes. She goes down to the basement. She's like, pumpkin for my pumpkin. Talk about fucking mind warping this poor kid. Yeah. Anyway, so he gets let out. They have a little chat, and then he's back in his bedroom. They give him a creepy good night, wish him good night, standing at the door. There's so many of those scenes where it's just like stereotypical like horror, black dark silhouette in a door frame,
yeah.
But yeah, that happens, and that's when the sister tells him that the voice tells him that it's his sister.
Yeah, which
parents
again,
are not what they see. And then so there's that.
That would have been straight away. That would have been straight away. Like as soon as that kid can speak, when he's like 3 or 4, I'm like, by the way, I'm here. Your parents locked me up. Help me out. Like straight away. Like, and this kid's like 10, 11, 12. What are we doing here?
I think he had to be big enough to be able to move that big old heavy clock.
What you couldn't just say go and call 9. You couldn't just say to a 4 or 5 year old go and call 911, tell them somebody's trapped in the wall.
Well,
something like that.
I don't know.
Anything. Like, my point is that even if they've got to be strategic about it, that information would have been revealed to him in the first night of this movie, and it just kind of felt frustrating. It didn't really feel like a tension building thing. It just felt like they were just obnoxiously just withholding information to try and create tension falsely.
Yeah,
they could have written around that in a better way where it wasn't revealed to him, or they could have been a bit clearer about that, in the movie, because it was just on my mind from like, pretty early on that like if this person can talk to you and he can talk back, then just lay it out there and just fucking let's do this.
Yeah, I definitely felt the same, but structure wise I can tell you why it sort of works for me in a way, because like up to that point again I'm still like, all right, things are getting a bit more fucked up here with the family, like thrown in the basement, whatever. Around here is where you get the scene from the trailer, like the jump scary bit with the mum looking all fucked up, and it turns out, of course, it's a dream sequence.
But also they do kind of imply in the movie on 2 occasions, this one included, that these dreams are somehow connected to the plot of what's going on. Like, it's like he's still being contacted in his dreams, or he's viewing like an alternate like series of events or whatever in his dreams, and they don't explicitly say that it is, but they don't explicitly say that it isn't, and they never really address that. And again, it's just a cheap mislead to make you think that it's like a mystical thing when it's not. It's just a bitch in the basement or in the wall or whatever.
Yeah, we said spoilers anyway, but I did think, you know, that scene was fairly effective. Like when you see the dad in the corner and he's just still for a second, and then his teeth start chattering up some like fucking sugar style kick patterns or something. He's like,
yeah, I mean, that's why you get Anthony Starr. He's good at that, and he's not really used to his full potential in this movie. You could have had a lot more moments like that where we could have seen more of like their individual tension, and like, you know, and just maybe just gone a little bit deeper into like, again, who's the one kind of running the show here, you know, what's their dynamic like, you know, how did they get to that point, why did they keep the fucking thing, and how is that affecting like how they're acting, because it all felt like there was stuff there that they wanted to show us but we just never got around to, you know.
I mean, again, I feel like it is kind of where it's from the child's perspective and it's in his mind, like I don't know, it's hard to say with the
you
family.
Think that was
like
an intentional choice to have the parents' motivation kind of shrouded, even by the end of it, it's like they're just taken out of the equation, and we don't get any you know, resolution or kind of confrontation between him and them, you know.
Yeah, I'll get there to the ending because I've got a point on that. But literally, like from that dream sequence part, like obviously he's like, you know, Peter, look what you've done to your mother, and then she's like there. It looks like, you know, kind of Evil Dead, like runs through the hallway, and then like obviously he jumps up, you know, wakes up. It was a dream.
Yeah.
And then that's when he finds the next scene. He's playing in the garden, and he finds the skull in the fucking dirt in the pumpkin patch. Which, by the way, that
last week from the trailer.
Yeah, that pumpkin patch is vast.
Yeah, and also again, these parents trying to cover up a big family secret. Let's go make a pumpkin patch where we buried the bodies.
Let's attract everyone to our glorious pumpkin patch with the
whose bodies are they? Why are there bodies in their garden? The big story here is that they just kept this one mutant in their fucking house for some reason, and they never say that they're killing people to feed to her or anything like that. So why have they got bodies in the garden? We never address it.
A point I had is half of this is like, is this some of the kids' imagination? Like that's hammered home. Like that's some of the very opening dialogue, I believe, between the mother and the son, Peter, saying you have a really big, great, you know, beautiful imagination and all this.
So you think it's like an American Psycho situation where some of the finer details are different as like we're presented them, and some of it's not all necessarily that way. We're just thinking because he's a kid and he's got this inquisitive mind, and there is something weird going on, that he's looking at every different thing that it could be. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'll get to my sort of theory at the end, but yeah, this has been quite an in-depth review. I'm basically going fucking plot by, you know, plot point.
Only the most in-depth reviews, deeper than them bodies were buried. Literally, like they just swept a bit of dust over that fucking thing.
Yeah, it's not even like it's supposed to, you know,
not even one pumpkin deep.
You're getting like 2 feet deep. You know what I mean? Like he's just like barely moved. Yeah, like not even a pumpkin deep. Like
mate.
Yeah, he's just exactly. That's why I'm like, again, like, you know, that's not logical. That's
Yeah.
why I attribute it to a possible, you know, I don't know, dream or something in his imagination. But anyway, that happens. Then the mum, oh yeah, he tries to, like, you know, get out of or distract the mum from him actually finding the skull. So he says, "Why don't we carve a pumpkin?" And then that scene, she's just stabbing the gutting the
That's so
pumpkin.
brutal. What I liked what I really liked in that moment, actually, because when he first says, "Can we carve a pumpkin?" I just thought he was just like, he's nervous, he's been caught, let's go and do something else, right?
Mm,
But then as you get into it later, it's like, no, you kind of retroactively realize that was him. He's starting to like get more like devious, and he's planning, and and I think that's a good foreshadow to some of the stuff that happens later, where
yeah,
he's like, actually, no, he is like, he's thinking about this stuff now, and he isn't just this helpless, screaming kid,
yeah,
and he's building up that, that criminal mind that obviously
yeah.
apparently runs in the family blood. But whatever, it's like,
Well, we'll see, but yeah, that's where we go from there. You know, mum guts up that pumpkin like a
yeah, for
full
no
on
reason.
mental case. Um, and yeah, that's where do we go from there? Right, that's when I think the voice
I
tells
think
him that the parents
yeah,
killed the girl down the road because somewhere in here we missed it, but there was the story that's actually between Budget, Adam Scott, and Miss Divine. He tells her about the story
yeah.
of the girl dying down their street or whatever, or in the family,
So I always
possibly.
assumed that when they talked about the girl that died, they're talking about the girl that's locked in the thing, because they parents obviously would have told everyone that the
But
girl
she's dead.
died, right? Because
Yeah,
but she's not dead. She's in the wall. So then did another girl find out about her and then they have to kill that girl, and she's the one buried in the garden?
I'm not sure exactly. I feel like I could benefit from, you know, I think that conversation is kind of like, you know, it came and went
Yeah.
when it was explained. But regardless, you know, we found out at this point, you know, sister's in the wall. She's told him that the parents killed the girl down the road, and then Peter calls Miss Divine, and then Mum clocks that, freaks out,
Yeah.
finds you know, she clocks the hole in the wall because oh yeah, we missed that point where, you know, the sister
Yeah.
tells him there's a hole in the wall. He throws the
And
ball through.
this is a family which is just two parents, one kid. Why they live in a house that's so massive
Fucking
and
big.
vast that you
Mm.
can't, there's like there's like a whole fucking labyrinth in this fucking house, like
Definitely,
connecting it
yeah.
all together. Why did you not know that when you fucking buried the fucking girl in your wall? You should have seen that there was a secret passageway when you're building other secret passageways.
Yeah, that was the point I
What the
was going to make.
fuck?
Like, you see the house from the exterior, you know, shot, and then like the interior, you're like, fuck it hell, like, yeah, this doesn't quite
It's
add
a
up.
beach hut, mate,
But
is what
anyway,
it is.
yeah, pretty much. And then it's like a mansion indoors, not mansion, but sizable place.
Fucking
But
more
again, this
vents than
that
fucking
does
John McClane.
add to the kids' perspective, I guess. I don't know. Again,
Maybe. I think you're giving the movie well too much credit for
maybe
that
I am,
angle. I don't
maybe,
know. I don't think it was. I mean,
but
maybe that's what they intended, but I don't think they intended it as much. I don't know.
possibly. I have a theory anyway. That's an angle I sort of tried to look at there
Yeah.
from, but
No, it's good. I get it, but I don't know.
anyway, um, the mum finds you know, um, finds out the hole in the wall. I was
Yeah.
like, what she tell you? And she says the classic line, "You just wait till your father gets home," and then, you know, he obviously the dad gets home. He sees them talking. He's like, eavesdropping or whatever. And then that again, like, there's another weird sort of scene. It was like they punished him for the other thing. They put him in a basement before, but then they turn around and they're like, his dad just comes up and he's like, pretends to be asleep, and he's like, I know you're not asleep. He's like, I need you to help me in the car tomorrow or in the yard or whatever. And then that's it. And then it cuts to them in the garden with their crazy pumpkin patch. And he's saying how it's got black rot in the pumpkin patch. And I'm pretty sure there's like some sort of metaphor in that bit of dialogue for something to do with, evil corrupting people and basically like.
Yeah, I think this
whole
movie.
His sister, the black rot.
I think this whole movie is kind of supposed to be how like, like the sins of the father will corrupt the son, the child, or the sins of the parents, and how like, and just all about kind of how we like, how we retain childhood trauma and how that kind of impacts us and how that affects, and moving forward. So I think, like you're saying, the pumpkins definitely kind of represent that kind of passing down of decay or whatever.
Yeah. Even is it even
so
like
a some thematic stuff for sure.
There. Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Even like there's like from that scene, you get the transition from the like evil-looking spooky pumpkin, which is like sort of sewn up eyes, mouth, or whatever, silenced or whatever. Probably looking too far into this, but it goes from that, and then you see Brian and Brian's older brother. That's when you catch a glimpse of them, the gang in the van, and they got that shot where they're all like, look out. and then
we haven't even talked about the soup yet. We've missed the soup.
No. This is after.
Is this before the soup?
No, this is just before it. Yeah, because that's when they're scoping out the house, and he's like, Brian's is the house. He's like, yeah, that's it. And they're like, all right, wicked. Another pumpkin transition to the smiley pumpkin. They're at the dinner table. They're talking. They're eating the soup. The soup tastes a bit funny. Did you do something different with the soup?
As soon as he starts saying that.
As soon as he says, I was just like, nah. And then she's like, it smells like cinnamon. And I was like, oh, no, he didn't.
Right, yeah. Because he says it twice, right? Because he says, oh, did you do something different with the soup, honey?
Yeah.
And I thought he was just awkwardly making conversation, like, because in that situation you would. And she's like, no, I did it the same. And he's like, okay, so they carry on. And he goes, there's a difference. And as soon as he says that, I'm like, fuck, it's the cinnamon. He's going to say it's cinnamon. And then he does. And I'm like, oh, no. At that moment, I'm like, this movie has just flipped on its head for me. Because I'm like, even the pushing the kid down the stairs, that's kind of like, relatable, and that could be like an accident more than what he meant to do. But this was just like, oh no, we've just gone into a completely different gear. And I was excited.
Yeah,
I was pretty excited at this point because I thought the movie was pretty slow getting to this point, and then right there, I'm like, here we fucking go.
Yeah,
we don't really go.
I forgot one thing that just really fucking cracked me up just before that, like literally just before they're like, they're just about to sit down and eat the soup, and there's a knock at the door, and it's fucking trick or treaters. And my mum answers the door, and she's just like, they're like, she's like, go away! Just screams at him like a fucking psycho.
I thought that was good.
Yeah, and then that's as soon as it was like, it smells like cinnamon, I was just like, oh fuck.
And she carries on eating it. She doesn't clock because she wasn't there for that conversation. No. So just like, oh, okay, maybe it's got a cinnamony vibe to it. And she just carries on slurping away. He doesn't tell her, stop eating the fucking soup.
But he does start to freak out though, doesn't he? He's like, yeah, call 911.
Yeah, but she's still eating while he's freaking out. Like, she's still like, yeah, cinnamon.
Like he's just like, he's there and he just starts going, like fucking like puking and shitting himself.
Oh yeah, no, that's hardcore. right there. That was hardcore. It was visceral. I felt it. And again, I just thought like this whole movie just shifted into a completely different mode now, and I was really excited. And it doesn't really, after this scene, we don't really, it kind of just slows right back down again, and we don't really.
Minute, yeah. It like, I don't know, like obviously he runs up, and then the mum chases him. I couldn't quite clearly see what happened there because she's got a knife as well, and then she runs up the stairs.
There's a whole kerfuffle.
Yeah, she falls down. Basically, his parents are fucking dead, and we've already seen.
Yeah, we get no little monologue.
No.
Yeah. Well, they're rolling up in.
Yeah, they're gonna come. Well, I think that's immediately I'm thinking, oh well, he's got no fucking, he's got no chance of fighting them off now. And then
I mean, we basically know how it's going to go at this point, right? As soon as the parents are dead, and then you see them, they're rolling up. You're like, oh, okay, well, so the kid's going to burst, the sister's going to burst out the wall. She's going to murder all them. Then she's probably going to turn on him, and then the teacher's going to show up.
Well,
I think it's pretty well written in the
chase. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, he just finds the key. Just so happens to find the key on his mum's fucking corpse, on that.
Yeah, he's got all that ready to go.
Yeah, moves the hench fucking clock out of the way. There's a little door. She gets out, as you say. Brian and the boys show up, and then she makes light work of them. Like, but it was pretty cool. Like the scene, the kills there. Like, the first one, the kid with the pig thing. I was just like. Smashing up playing fucking hammer smash chord piano, fucking, and then you see the hair. He gets fucking pulled under. It was
quite good.
Blood, like fucking.
I think they did that hair shot a bit too much. They kept cutting to the hair, dragging along the floor, and I'm like, I get it. She hasn't had a haircut. It doesn't. What is this, Rapunzel? Like Guillermo del Toro's Rapunzel? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? And they kept doing the shots of the hair. I'm like, that's going to play into it. And it kind of does, but he literally just pulls her off uses it to pull her off the thing at the end.
Pretty much.
So for the kids showing up, right? Do you think it's a bit bizarre or a bit extreme if you got bullied at school, or if you had a fight at school and you're 10 and you had a fight with another 10-year-old kid and you ended up getting your leg broken, do you still think that warrants 3 full-grown adults showing up at a 10-year-old's house with baseball bats?
Fucking like.
Do you think that was a bit extreme? If your 10-year-old nephew comes up to you and says, George, a kid pushed me and I broke my leg, are you going to ring me up and then we're going to get another bloke and we're going to go around the town?
Right. And I'm guessing they're supposed to be like late teens.
Yeah, no, they're probably supposed to be like just older kids.
Yeah,
but even still, like, even if you're 17, you're gonna go around with baseball bats to a 10-year-old's house at 17 to break his fucking legs, because they clearly mean business, because they just stroll right in the house and they're just like, well, they're not in. Okay, we'll just smash this fucking house up. So they're just, they're seasoned criminals, it would seem. This ain't their first rodeo.
Yeah. There's another little, like, the cliche blood drip gag when Brian falls down, and then, like, why did I always say it's like, it's got my leg? And he's like, hanging around the corner. I'm like, no shit. They
had the balls to kill the kid, though. They went there. They didn't have him get away.
No, none of those kids get away. But also another thing, while that's all happening, like the fucking. She's like free, flying around, like snickering, like that laughter was just like, I was like, it was comedic. It was just like, it kind of took away, I felt, from it.
Yeah, it was a bit over the top. Yeah.
It's kind of fucked it. But
considering how long they spent building her up and not showing her, and then they kind of went super cartoony, and it just kind of.
Very much.
Yeah.
It was like very Ringu, she's doing the weird, like, spider walk thing.
Yeah, it's a little bit derivative.
But anyways, you know, she does that little monologue to him. You know, once she's out, her voice completely changes from the sweet innocent child that lured him to, you know, this creepy old woman voice.
Yeah.
But
so
yeah,
she
like
can
say,
change
like
her voice. Like she goes, "Oh, I've been locked in here. I've learned how to climb the walls and something." It's like, really? Like, what are you eating in there? Like a fucking bucket of fucking slop every day or whatever it is. And she's taught herself to climb on walls and fucking do different ventriloquy acts. Like, what is all that? Like, I don't know. I just kind of felt like I would have preferred it to have been like a fucking spirit of a dead sister or something where they could have at least followed through on some of the other setup and then also maybe just had a bit more to her because it just didn't make sense that she can fucking the fact that she can even like talk or like function as a regular person is a miracle because they make it sound like they literally just took a baby and just threw it in there.
Well, when you hear from her little monologues saying that, you know, when he came along, she was, you know, fucking basically pushed aside, like basically like every older child that's had a younger sibling knows that.
So how much older is she? She can't be that old.
It's hard to say. She must be at least, you know, fucking. I don't know, because the parents don't look that old. If you had to guess,
they're in like their 30s or 40s.
You know,
the kid's like 10
years older than him at the most, but it seems a lot older.
So then they would have to been like 15, like high school sweethearts, and the fucking knocking her up straight out of college. Like it's, I don't know.
I think we're looking too much for logic there, anyway. But you know,
it's all about how the kid viewed it. It's through the eyes of a child, George. Through the eyes of a child.
I'm not saying that. All right, I'm saying I have my theory. I have my thoughts. But again, like there's these cliches, but there was the one point throughout that thing that we didn't mention, like just she gives a little monologue and he's like hiding under the bed or whatever. And then she's like, trick or treat, drops the fucking pumpkin and it's got the severed head in it. I was just like, all right, that's pretty cool. And then,
that was decent.
Yeah. And then that's when the teacher shows up, comes in the house, witnesses all the fucking blood and corpses, and just like literally audibly says, "What the fuck?" And then like she gets snicked by a little Spidey sis. I think her name's Sarah. I think I just called it Spider Sis. Spidey sis.
We haven't even talked about the spiders. There's a lot of spider imagery in this whole movie, and we don't really do anything with that.
No, there's more pumpkins than spiders, to be honest, and Cobweb.
There's still, all right, but there's still some. There's still some spiders sprinkled in. The film is called Cobweb, and there's spider. One of the first shots of the movie is the spider on the desk. Like a spider.
Yeah,
I guess. But then that's like calling Shaw like fucking wheelie boy. Do you know what I mean? Because he moves on wheels like.
Oh, Billy the Puppet. Oh, fuck.
Puppet.
No, it's not.
Puppet Man.
It's not comparable. It's incomparable.
Billy Puppets. I am Billy Puppets. I'm a puppet.
This sounds just like him. Dead ringer.
Billy Puppets.
Yeah. Anyway, I've got past that. I'm fucked with the plot now. It's literally just there's a stalker slash sort of scene with the fucking Divine and the sister, and then that was it. The fucking another horror film that's released this year that fucking just rags on the Kubrick scene. She's got a fucking. She picks up a fire poker, of all things, and she manages to just bash a hole into the wall with a fire poker. Whatever, suspension of disbelief. But it's the fact she does that, and as she does it, they mimic that scene of Jack putting the axe in the door.
Yeah, there's been a lot of Shining revision.
It's not as
last few years.
I wouldn't say that's as egregious as the fucking elevator of blood in Evil Dead, but you know, I get people want to pay homage, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I was just like, that didn't need to be there. Anyways, that happens.
She locks her in there. They boot her back in the wall. Why? By the way, I said like, why didn't the parents kill her? Why can apparently nobody kill her? Again, she's just a weird, ugly kid. Unless she's like some kind of invincible mutant with like, but then we don't explain any of that. They never say, oh, it was your birth defect. She's really hard to kill. It's just we didn't like her. She was ugly, and that's it.
Yeah.
But also, you can't kill her. But also, she's strong enough to not be killed, but she's also strong enough to not be able to break out of the fucking wall. Like, what are we doing there? Am I overthinking that too much?
Probably, but anyway,
Maybe.
that's what happens. Basically, you
But
get.
It don't matter because we end real soon because this movie goes fucking yip.
Yeah, the ending is just like literally from there. It's you know, Peter gets put in her pit. Divine fucking comes back, finds him in the wall, gets her out. They have a fucking little battle. She smashes her with a fire poker. Her hair gets caught on the thing. Throw her back in the pit, and that's it. And it's just like a closing monologue of, you know, Sarah, Spidey's sister, telling him that no matter what he does, you'll never be rid of her. We're family. I'll always be with you. And then credits. And I was just like,
it's really abrupt. Really abrupt.
Yeah. And I kind of respect a sort of downer, unresolved ending. There's something to that sometimes where I'm just like, oh yeah, like, you know,
I would have liked some of the stuff. They opened up like 3 or 4 threads here, and they don't really resolve any of them. I would have liked one of them. Either tell me more about how she came to be, and then just end on a unclear ending, or don't tell me the mystery, and then at least ride the ending a little bit more traditionally. Do you know what I mean? Like pick one or the other. Like it just felt like they teased me so much, and I just didn't get the meat, nowhere near the meat that I wanted out of this after the end of it.
Bit blue balls.
Quite a bit, yeah. And I don't mind, again, you know, an unresolved ending, but just give me something that I can latch onto. And this film just didn't fully explore. It had some really good ideas. It just didn't fully explore any of them.
I feel like a lot of it was purposely ambiguous. Again, like I'll get to my theory if you want to call it that. Like, it's interesting that you mentioned the American Psycho Patrick Bateman parallel, because I was just like, you know, so much of this, his sister, that whole thing, it could have even been, you know, she wasn't even real. Like, if you think about it, you know, they tell a story about, you know, this girl that died down the street. The mother doesn't want to talk about it.
So he imprinted that onto his own, like, family, like, because his parents are just weird and mistreat him a bit. Well, quite a bit. Yeah.
So he might, you know, in his head, he thinks his parents are fucking evil. The Miss Divine thing, that's the thing that made me think, well, why is she, you know, there?
Yeah.
And then I thought about it, it's like he has no friends. She's the only one that shows him any, like, you know, love or attention.
Yeah.
And he could, you know, in his mind, there's a couple of scenes there, like where he's like trapped there and she's like at the house. And like the communication's weird, and it's just like it is almost like dreamlike, where
it's almost a case of like when he's in the basement or whatever, and she comes to visit, she can't hear him because of like the
washing machine,
and all that stuff. So it's like, well, how is he aware then that she's there if it presumably would work the same level of volume both ways?
Exactly. I feel like
so I can see that, like, where
it would definitely benefit from a second watch, and I would watch this again. To be fair, I want
to watch this again. for sure.
It's actually out. Obviously, it's been out theatrically since July in the States. It's out on DVD, on Blu-ray, like next week, I think, like September 12th. So yeah, it's a quick turnaround these days. Like,
yeah, no, we should definitely come back to this, whether separately or as a united front or whatever. And I want this to benefit from a second viewing.
Yeah.
But I still think that most of my issues are still going to be mostly unresolved. I'm not saying that you can't be good and be unresolved at the same time, but I know, yeah, I feel like you like this more than I did, which is not the way that I was expecting this to go.
No, not at all. I mean, wasn't expecting it at all. It definitely like flipped in my,
yeah,
it won me over to an extent. There's definitely things again that are like kind of cliche. But like, what do you want from a modern horror films these days? Like, I think there's definitely some great imagery. I think Samuel Bowden as a director, I didn't catch who the cinematographer was, but like he's definitely got a vision. Like, I'm interested to check out more stuff.
Absolutely. As I said earlier, there's some shots in this where there's like some really cool use of like lighting and silhouettes, and there's like some weird like Dutch angles, and they do like these shots like they occur at key moments, and it's almost like a Mondo poster, where it's just like a silhouette, and it's like a lot of like just blocks and use of like orange, because most of this movie is like green and blue, but then you get these like shots of like sepia like injected into it that are really effective. I thought visually it was great, the effects were great. I thought the performances were great. If they could have had a little bit more meat in the script to work with, and
Agreed.
the plot was just, for me, just there was just they introduced so much and just didn't explore 90% of it. So I'm ready to rate this if you are.
Sure. I'm gonna give it
well, I've already thought about the rating system
heads.
If you want one.
Okay.
3.5, 7 heads.
3.5, 7 heads in pumpkins out of 5.
Out of 5, 3.5. I would go. What did I rate? I think I gave
Blackening was like
the Blackening 2 out of 5.
2 arrows out of 5.
2 out of 5 arrows. So if I'm going this out of 5, I'd go 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I would have gone 4, but it was just like, again, some of the little cliche bits. I don't know. Yeah, it was way better than I thought it was going to be, man. Like when it got to, like I said, like the stairs scene, and then when the parents died, like that's literally like about an hour in. It's like the third act.
It takes a while to get there.
But yeah, I don't know. There is something I respect about. Again, it's like very much left open to interpretation, but it's also left it very open for a sequel. And from what I looked at, the estimated budget was like 35 million, and it's only got like 4.6 million. So that's quite
really. It's not doing well.
It's not done well at all.
This deserves to do better than that.
I would have said so. But what came out in July?
See this. A lot of things came out in July, and none of them did particularly well. So
hang on, when did Barbie come out? I thought that came out in July, or was that at the beginning of August?
I think Barbie was like the very end of July. But other than that, yeah, everything else that came out is not done well. But obviously Oppenheimer as well. But everything else in July just fucking did not do good.
Yeah, this is a prime example. But
absolutely, yeah, I wish more people would see this, because I want to get more of a sample size of like opinions, and I would want them to make another one, because I would want to see how they could expand the lore, because it feels like there's a lot of lore here. They just really glaze over it. with a very light brush.
Well, again, I think that was wishful thinking on their part, that they're like, oh yeah, we'll definitely get a sequel going for this and we can fucking explore this and that. But at the same time, I don't feel like it generally, like, I feel, I kind of dig the fact that it's very ambiguous and left open. But
it's half thoughtful and half like zany, like B-movie melodrama. And they could have gone a little bit more that way, I think. And that might, for my taste, I would have just a little bit more ridiculous. But, it is what it is. 3 out of 5, 3.5 out of 5. It's out of 5. And what do you want to do, George?
I don't know. That was a fucking long-ass review. Like, when
we give you the best reviews, the most in-depthest of reviewist reviews.
Gone more in depth.
No, that's what we do. We cleared away all of the cobwebs. We fucking brushed them right out of there. Now it's just a nicely lit corridor as opposed to a dingy tunnel in a haunted house. All right. But yeah, we were at an hour 45. We're nearly at an hour 50.
I guess we're gonna leave a.
Shall we wrap it up there, George? I think we've given the people a nice healthy chunk of movie review action, some trailers, some news. Hopefully they've clicked the likes and the subscribes and subscribe again. I've nearly said it again, so you know what? Just subscribe again. Make another account.
Make multiple accounts. Why not?
Do anything you need to do to get us in your fucking ears, in your eyes, get us in the algorithm so that we're popping up in other people's ears and eyes. Follow us on the social media platforms, anywhere that you can find. And we will see you next time. What a perfect time to fucking end. Boom.
Yeah.
Peace.
Boom.